Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video, and in today's video I'm going to be ranking the top 20 Australian PSAs. I'm probably more justified to talk about Australian PSAs since I'm literally Australian compared to talking about other countries, but I will eventually get around to talking about other countries and doing top 20 lists about them too. Quickly before I get into the video, I want to mention that I have my Patreon, which if you want your name at the end of my videos or you want early access to new videos, links in the description. You can sign up for at least $2 a month to get your name at the end of videos. If you want early access to new videos, you can sign up for at least $5 Australian a month. But anyways, let's get into the video.
This is my summer holiday.
We're all going on a summer holiday. No more working for a week or two. Fun
As you can see, very organised.
Summer holiday. No more worries for me or you.
Wait, Dad.
For a week or two. We're going where the sun shines brightly. We're going where the sea is blue. We've seen it in the movies. Now let's see it.
I think this PSA overall is pretty solid. Like, it is one of those PSAs that has the twist ending at the end, but it actually does it pretty well. It isn't amazing or anything, but it's still pretty solid and gets the message across to the viewer. There isn't really much else to say about this one because it's pretty straightforward and just gets its message across. There really isn't too much to say about this PSA because it's honestly just pretty straightforward.
As a doctor treating more and more people who use the drug ice, I see some terrible things. Users who can't sleep for days at a time. Some smoke it, not realising that's just as addictive.
No, I'm going out, alright?
Ice destroys lives. It tears families apart. Some ice users dig at their arms, feeling like bugs are crawling under the skin. And then there's the psychotic episodes. It's frightening that addiction can happen in such a short time. Don't let ice destroy you.
Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Yet another simple PSA, but this PSA gets its message across to the viewer by literally telling you what ice does to you whilst actually showing what it does to you. But to be completely honest, PSAs like these take me back. Like, I remember watching Free Day TV and seeing these pop up in the middle of the day. It really does take me back to the time when Australian government actually made PSAs. Honestly, the funniest part of this PSA is seeing the dude on ice headbutt a police officer. That's just the main thing I remember about this PSA, and it's funny as.
If 1 in every 6 Australians has the makings of a bloodthirsty killer lurking inside them, how do you know you're not one of them? Doctors call it a stroke. But as Australia's second biggest cause of death, I like to call it a silent serial killer. Oh sure, some of you will be lucky to escape with brain damage. Look, there goes the ability to talk, to comprehend, and while we're here, control your bladder. But for 12,000 of you every year, stroke won't just toy with your brain, but obliterate it. So ends the lesson. And your life.
I really like the approach of this PSA. I know Ad Cancel did stuff like this in the past with having well-known actors play the role of a stroke, but this PSA takes a little bit of a different approach and still does it really well. It's mainly because this PSA just has a man talking to the viewer explaining what a stroke can do to you, whilst metaphorically showing with like brains what it can actually do to your brain. Also at the start of this PSA it really hooks you in because the main actor kind of says really vague statements, so you get kind of interested of what he's talking about until at the end you realise what he's actually talking about. And that's the thing that's really good about it, is because you don't really know what he's saying until it's actually revealed at the end.
What you're about to see will change your mind about speeding. Two identical cars, one travelling at 60, the other at 65. A sudden change in the road ahead, and both drivers first react, and then, a moment later, they brake. And things start to get interesting. Down here, the difference is extraordinary. In the last 5 metres of braking, you wipe off half your speed. So this car is still doing 32 k's when it hits. This one also hits, but only at 5 k's. So no matter how good a driver you are, 5 k's difference up there makes 27 k's difference down here.
Here we go, the really good PSAs are coming in, and honestly from here on until about the top 5, these are honestly pretty equal. I've talked about this one a little bit in the past, but honestly to have a demonstration of what would really happen if you were 5k's over in this scenario is really cool. I like how they do it. Another cool thing about this PSA is that they actually have done a lot of research for it, and they actually had a professor from Monash University come in to explain the whole scenario. And this PSA is 20 years old. Shit. That's wild. That sounds insane because I remember seeing this on TV. I think they aired it for a few years after it came out, but still, it's nuts.
Lungs are like sponges, designed to soak up air. But some people use their lungs to soak up cigarette smoke. If you could wring out the cancer-producing tar that goes into the lungs of a pack-a-day smoker every year, this is how much you'd get. It's enough to make you sick. Very sick. Authorised by the New South Wales Government.
This is an absolute classic Aussie PSA. Australia's made so many anti-smoking PSAs, and this is one of the few that actually hit it on the head. It's really cool to have a metaphor for human lungs by using sponges to really show how much smoking affects your lungs. Also, believe it or not, this is actually a remake of the same PSA from the same company. I believe that they made it around the 80s, they made the same kind of thing, but this one's a little bit more modern and you get to see like the actual tar being rinsed out of the sponge in this one compared to the normal one where it just shows the sponge lungs. And fun fact about this one, other countries actually use this same PSA for their countries to show the same message. So obviously it must have been effective.
Thanks for the lift. You right? Yeah, all good. Phil, look after yourself, mate.
You home early?
Yeah.
You alright?
Yeah, fine.
You sure?
Yeah.
What's going on, Phil?
Jared. I was almost killed today.
What?
Sorry, Here With Me by Dido plays right now, so I'm going to sing it for you. I won't go, I won't sleep, I can't breathe until you're resting here with me.
An absolute tearjerker of a PSA. I remember this one being on all the time when I was growing up, and I can honestly see why. It really gets across the message to viewers that you need to be more safe in the workplace because one day you might accidentally get into a work accident and possibly die. But instead of just focusing on the actual workplace accident itself, it focuses on the man getting home and realizing what he would have left behind if he did accidentally die in the workplace. And then obviously after that he tells his wife about it and then he gets upset. It's honestly just one of those very emotional kind of PSAs, and I think it does it really well.
They're so irresistible at this age, but remember, they grow up. They'll need good food and education, a trip to the family doctor, which could become expensive. They may even be a problem child. They may have nasty habits. They may even tend to stray. And they'll need to get on with your family. So remember, they won't be babies forever.
This PSA is just charming. Like, it's good to see an animal PSA, something to do with animals, not be dark and disturbing, something actually light-hearted for once. And that's a good thing too. This PSA just gets straight to the point, basically saying that you need to be in and need to be ready for when you get an animal that they're going to grow up and not be the same the whole time. They're going to grow up and get older. By the way, the Dalmatian's really cute, so that helps.
Sugar.
Honey, honey.
You are my candy girl, and you've got me wanting you.
Honey. Ah, sugar, sugar.
You are my candy girl, and you've got me wanting you.
I just can't believe the loveliness of loving you. I just can't believe it's true.
Honestly, a really depressing PSA. It's really simple, but it's really good because it just has people that have been affected by smoking singing a song. By the way, the actual song they're singing is Sugar Sugar from the Archies. With them singing the song, you get to see how they're affected by smoking because most of them are actually in hospital and some of them have like breathing problems or actual speech problems. With that though, you do see some serious like physical injuries, like you see someone being cut open, you see the stitches on his chest, and there's someone with a hole in their throat. The message at the end of the PSA is really great, showing that additives such as like sugar and honey can cover the taste of tobacco. So it really shows how easy it is to get addicted to smoking.
Blasted bikes. Now where's he gone?
Why not look at it from the motorcyclist's point of view?
Busy road. Truck behind. Road surface is changing. The car turning ahead. Is he going to pull out? Give him room. Traffic's slow. No, my lane's clear. Plenty of room.
Another awesome TAC PSA. But this PSA is really cool, even looking back at it now, because it just has such a unique perspective on this kind of scenario. By the way, what I mean by that is like no other PSAs have really done the thing where someone switches with someone else to show a different perspective compared to, like, say, the person being in the car switches to being on the motorbike. They don't really show that in any other PSAs. This is like the only PSA I can think of that does that. But I do really like the approach this PSA takes, because it takes more of a realistic approach, kind of really showing how people react to certain types of drivers if they're driving a motorbike or a car, etc. Surprisingly, I actually don't see other companies trying to imitate these kind of PSAs. It's only TAC that's done a few of these PSAs that are like these scenarios where people switch situations, they switch to like a motorbike from being in the car and etc.
Smoking causes mouth cancer. If it didn't, I wouldn't be needing radiotherapy and chemotherapy. If looking at mouth cancer on your cigarettes makes you uncomfortable, look at another part of the pack. Quitting is hard. Not quitting is harder.
God, this is another anti-smoking classic. You still see images of this lady on smoking packs, so obviously these PSAs must have had a lasting effect, because if they're still on cigarette packets today, when this PSA was nearly, 15 years ago, it means it was effective. The PSA itself is pretty straightforward, with the lady just telling you that smoking causes mouth cancer. There isn't really too much else to say about this PSA, because it's just really straightforward. They kind of just tell you what it is, and it really works because of the simplicity.
I wish I could have my heart attack again. I felt an ache in my jaw here. Ignored it. Felt a bit short of breath here. Ignored that. When I was down here, feeling tight in my chest, I didn't realize my heart muscle had already started to die. When all I had to do right at the start was call 000. I wish I could have my heart attack again.
Learn the warning signs.
I really like it where this person goes through all the events of his heart attack, saying that he would have rang 000 if he did have it again, just in the first place. The dead body's quite disturbing at first, but it's honestly really cool how he goes back through the events of his heart attack and kind of says that he would have just rang 000 at the start if he knew. But yeah, I think this PSA just literally hits the nail on the head. It's really good. It's really well done.
What the hell's this? What's that? It's a dress. Look, I know it's a bloody dress. What the hell's it for? You think I'm just going to let you out of here wearing that? What are you idiot? You're wrapping it. I'm an idiot, am I? What's got into you? You think I don't know what you're up to? What do you mean? Stop it. What are you doing? Who's going to be there? Who? I don't know what you mean. Please, just let go. Stupid little lying hat! Tell it! Who is it? Who are you getting all dressed up for? Who the hell are you trying to impress? You're making me stupid. No, you're just making me. Now tell me, or you know what's coming next.
Thought you could use this.
Right, come in.
Probably one of the biggest plot twist PSAs I've ever seen. It really catches you off guard because you expect the man to use the bat against the abuser, but no, they twist it where the man gives the abuser a bat. It's a little bit exaggerated, you might say, but I think it works really well because a lot of people, if they're hearing someone being abused, they won't usually do anything about it. So this PSA brings up the point, if you're not doing anything about it, then you may as well just give them a hand. But that really is the unfortunate reality where a lot of people actually don't go out and try and stop people abusing other people. It's honestly depressing, but that's why PSAs like this exist. Unfortunately, this is still a big issue even today, but I'm glad that White Ribbon's still around, bringing more light to this issue.
PCA for all creatures great and small.
So we go from a really graphic and disturbing PSA to a really light-hearted one. But honestly, what's there to really say about this PSA? The whole PSA in general is pretty wholesome, with the dog doing things to try and get money, until the man at the end of the PSA actually drops a bit of money in his dog bowl. It's just great.
First time I quit, had no idea what I was getting myself into. I lasted 3 days, then some bright spark gave me a beer. Well, the second time was better. I lasted 6 weeks. Felt strong, in the zone, on top of my game. And I would have lasted even longer, except my girlfriend decided that I was too cranky and gave me a cigarette. Third time, I made a full year, and I was so excited that I celebrated by having a cigarette. Yeah, like you're perfect. Fourth time, pretty much on a whim, I put my cigarette out and just never lit another one. Well, it wasn't that simple, but at least I knew what I was in for. That was 3 years ago. So far, so good. You see, every time you quit, you get a little better at it. So remember, never give up giving up.
An anti-smoking PSA that isn't dark and graphic? The more you know. I really like this one because it is a lot more realistic about quitting smoking. The whole message of the PSA where you gotta keep on trying to quit smoking is really good, and it's a lot more realistic than other PSAs where they say just quit flat out. But no, this PSA kind of shows that you might try and quit and you might fail, but you should keep on trying because the more you try, the better you get at it. I don't think any other PSA has done this, and I honestly love it for that. What this PSA just cuts all the bullshit and just encourages the viewer to keep on trying to quit smoking. And that's a really great message.
Set fire to your hair, poke a stick at a grizzly bear, eat medicine that's out of date, use your private parts as piranha bait. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Get your toast out with a fork, do your own electrical work, teach yourself how to fly, eat a 2-week-old unrefrigerated pie. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Invite a psycho killer inside, scratch a drug dealer's brand new ride. Take your helmet off in outer space, use a clothes dryer as a hiding place. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Keep a rattlesnake as a pet, sell both your kidneys on the internet. Eat a tube of super glue. I wonder, what's this red button do? Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die, so many dumb ways to die. Dress up like a moose during hunting season, disturb a nest of wasps for no good reason. Stand on the edge of a train station platform, drive around the boom gates at a level crossing, run across the tracks between the platforms. They may not rhyme, but they're quite possibly the dumbest ways to die. The dumbest ways to die. The dumbest ways to die. So many dumb ways to die.
Be safe around trains. A message from Metro.
I think you all knew this would be on here somewhere. It's honestly just a no-brainer. This PSA was absolutely huge when it came out, and I believe it's still the most viewed PSA on YouTube. I think a lot of people know about the 2 phone games as well, because I think a lot of people played those games when they came out, me included. But it's funny because the characters are still used even today. Like in Melbourne, Australia, where I live, they're still using these characters around train stations. They have them up as advertisements in like every train station in the city. Also, this campaign was so big that RTD in Denver got the rights to use the characters in there as well. Like obviously a lot of other companies wanted the characters at their train stations. Also, holy shit, this came out 10 years ago. Time flies by.
I've been looking so long at these pictures of you that I almost believe that they're real. I've been living so long with my pictures of you that I almost believe that the pictures are all I can feel. There was nothing in the world that I ever wanted more than to feel you deep in my heart. There was nothing in the world that I ever wanted more than to never feel the breaking apart. All my pictures of you.
Yep, another TAC PSA. It honestly shows that TAC can still make a really good PSA without showing any kind of graphic or gory imagery. This is just a really long emotional PSA. I believe it's like the longest Australian PSA, clocking in at 3 minutes. The music does this PSA a lot of favours as well, because this is a cover of the Cure song Pictures of You, sung by Angie Hart, which is an Australian singer. And it's a lot slower and a lot more sad. So I think the music in this PSA really does the actual PSA itself and the imagery we see a lot of favours. It's just really sad because these are real people that have lost loved ones to accidents where people have gotten into car crashes, or they've been hit by a car and they've lost loved ones because of that. Like the whole PSA is just people grieving over lost ones, and that's just really depressing on its own. I'm gonna be completely honest, watching this one again kind of made my eyes water a bit because this is really depressing.
protect me. Sarah? Is everything all right?
I've talked about this PSA a lot. It's mainly just the imagery that makes this PSA so damn effective. The whole PSA just really shows you that you can't control your body when you have multiple sclerosis, and that's just really sad. Also, I didn't explain what multiple sclerosis is when I last mentioned this PSA, but basically the disease is that your brain can't communicate with your body, so your body won't really move when your brain, you're thinking of what you're trying to do, but you can't really communicate with your body. Long story short, your brain just can't send the signals to the body properly. So the imagery of being trapped in a box inside your own body is really effective and really sends the message across to the viewer really well.
If this is how your child feels after losing you for a minute, just imagine if they lost you for life.
Yet another tearjerker, god damn it. This one used to be on TV all the time when I was growing up, and it honestly put you in a shit mood because it's really sad and depressing. Like, a mother just leaves a kid at the train station and the kid just starts crying. But watching this as I'm older, it does make a lot more sense, and it's a really effective PSA. Obviously the whole message of it is like, if you leave your kid for a child and they get this upset, imagine if you leave them for life. Obviously insinuating that smoking can take your life away. If you die by smoking, how upset your child will be. Which basically the PSA is just saying to not smoke at all because you have less chance of dying.
Two every metre is my understanding.
Chris?
Come on, Dad.
There in a minute.
Chris, have you had any alcohol drink today?
Just had a couple of beers.
Preliminary breast test indicates that your breast contains alcohol. There's one other thing, I'm not sure whether you're aware, the young fella has in fact died. Are you aware of that, were you, Chris?
Hey, it's that PSA that Think in the UK ripped off. But this one just does it so much better. It's really effective just seeing the kid follow the man everywhere, and then eventually at the end of the PSA the man breaks down because he's seeing that kid everywhere he goes for so long. Like, they really built up the guilt that the main character feels, and they do it so damn well. And it does tie back to the message of the PSA being that you shouldn't be drinking and driving, because even if you're only drinking a little bit, you can still be considered a drunk driver. By the way, this PSA has a lot more emotion to it compared to the riff-off, because in this PSA you obviously see a lot more emotion out of the main character, compared to the Think PSA where the main character is kind of just blank-faced the whole time. Also, it's so funny to see other people's reactions to this PSA's campaign being, if you drink and drive, you're a bloody idiot, because a lot of other people think that's really weird. I guess it's a lot more Aussie to say like bloody and stuff like that. So seeing other people's reactions that aren't from Australia is kind of hilarious.
Hello?
Hi, Mum.
Andrew? Not like you to call?
Yeah, I just wanted to say hello.
Oh, all right. It's really noisy and hard to hear you. Are you at a party?
Dude, put down, let's go. Yeah.
Right. Hey, Jenny wants to know, are you going to come on Sunday? Remember, it's Grandpa's birthday. We would love you to be there.
I don't think I'll be able to.
Really?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Are you out with your uni mate? Andrew, you are actually doing some study this year, aren't you? Not just partying all the time?
Yes, Mum.
Are you keeping on top of your studies? Andrew?
Yes, Mum.
I've told you before, first year is important. You really need to knuckle down, mate.
Yes, Mum. Is Dad there?
No, look, it's really hard to hear you, love. He's on his way home. Why?
Oh, no reason.
Andrew, is something wrong?
No, I just wanted to say hi.
What's wrong, love? Talk to me. Andrew?
There's water in the car. And I love you, Mum.
And I love you too, honey. Where are you? Andrew, you're really scaring me. Andrew, what's that? I can't hear you, Andrew.
Somebody! Help!
Yes, my favourite Australian PSA is a PSA that was written for a TAC film competition. PSA is just so good. Like, it doesn't even show much until at the end of the PSA you really realise what's actually going on. Because half the time you don't even actually know why the kid is talking to their mum and getting upset. Until it's revealed at the end of the PSA where you get to see the water and that the car's actually drowning and going into the lake. It's so depressing and it pulls at your heartstrings and it does it so well, it is ridiculous. I've talked about this one so many times, but honestly, why wouldn't I? It's really that well done and effective that it's honestly just a sight to behold. Anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this video where I ranked the top 20 Australian PSAs. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, and also if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe because I'm constantly making content like this on my YouTube channel. Lastly, make sure to join my Discord where you can chat to myself and a bunch of other awesome people. And anyways, let's get on to the Patreon shoutouts.
Massive thanks to Madeline Stringer and Diamond Pony for supporting my $2 Pirate tier. Massive thanks to Juliet Wakefield for supporting my $5 Pusher tier, and lastly, massive thanks to Sam M1994 for supporting my $10 Pee Wee Herman tier. If you want to find out how you can get your name at the end of my videos, make sure to click the little Patreon logo on screen at the moment, or the Patreon link in the description, and you can get your name at the end of my videos, or you can even get early access to new videos. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one.